views expressed on the Health on a Whim podcast is not a substitute for the medical advice of your licensed physician, nurse practitioner, or any other health professional whose care you are under. Consult with your healthcare professional about any matters relating to your health and health needs, and before beginning any new health program or implementing any health information discussed on this podcast or on Whatismyhealth.com. This recording contains sensitive content, including references to drugs and alcohol, that may be triggering to some listeners. Discretion is advised. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this or listening to this the day that it drops, it's Sunday, March 27th, 2022, and today marks the 3-year anniversary of Rich's sobriety. So hope you're enjoying the podcast, hope you're enjoying all 5 parts of this episode, and stay tuned for the last part, part 5, Not That Guy, of episode 19 of the Health on a Whim podcast.
You know, I love these rooms because, you know, you can't say out in the real world that what you can say here, because here everybody relates. I want people to understand that you know, it's okay to be, you know, in the rooms and be quiet about this, but it's also very good to share, whether you share just in the rooms or whether you share with your family, because the whole power of this, what helped me was just hearing other people. I thought that I was the only person that was doing what I was doing. Mm-hmm. Not at all. There's people that did much worse. There's people that did exactly the same. There's people that did less, that found them in the exact same spot that I was in.
Yeah. And there's a stigma about it too. I think, you know, not talking about it, you know, and I'm sure that many people have a feeling of shame about what's going on, which is probably where I think a lot of that comes from.
Yeah.
So I can understand that, but I think, you know, getting past the stigma of it is important, because it's not shame that's unique to any one person. To feel shame is human. It's almost a universal thing. It's hard to talk about, but getting past the stigma of, oh, this is shameful, so I shouldn't say that. No, like, I think that makes it even more relatable, is that's, I'm in here about all that I have going on. So are they, but they're reflecting that outwards, and maybe I can too. I'd like to see people come to a point where we can all be more upfront and honest. Not to say don't have shame, but I think to kind of embrace that and use that and find a way to make something positive from it.
The biggest thing is just letting people know that they're not alone.
Yep.
Just know that everyone out there has their own story. Like, the whole big thing with the meetings, the whole point why they tell you to keep going is because if they show up and no one's there, what are they showing up for? You got to be that person to show people that, you know, I'm the one you can talk to. You know, I've seen a thing or two, you know, I'm willing to help. I'm willing to go out and explain. There's 2 things, you know, people always saw with me, is a bucket of wings and a beer. Yeah. And, you know, I jokingly, this one kid that I met, when I told him when I got out, and he was like, what? He goes, oh man. He's like, but diabetes? I'm like, yeah, diabetes, bro. And he's like, so like, I get it, you can't drink, but can you eat wings again? I'm like, yeah. He goes, bro, because you, like, look, I get it. Like, I know you as a partier and with the wings, but you can't eat wings anymore. He's like, then I wouldn't know you anymore.
You probably haven't seen my family in a long time, but still, when I talk to my sister, I'm like, oh, I talked to Rich the other day. She's like, wings. I was like, they know Rich equals wings. Oh, so there's one question that I ask everybody on the podcast. I feel like a broken record, but I find that it ties things together. And you touched on this. You said at one point you didn't have a level of health. And what I take that to mean is that your health was poor. There were things that were definitely medically problematic, you know, with the diabetes and alcoholism are very real diseases. After looking back at everything you've been through, what does health mean to you today?
Health to me today is exactly that. Today. If you don't have it, start today. If you haven't checked it, start today, because you need to stay on it, whether it's your physical, whether it's your mental, it's your health. You got all these video games when you play as a kid growing up, and on the top of that bar is your health, and you watch that thing slowly go down, you have a chance to change that. You have a chance to change that now, today, for yourself. So you have to monitor it starting today. Check yourself out. Again, with Back into the Runes, part of the book is literally our defiance as addicts to go to a doctor, and they require you must go to the doctor. We're working on up here, but we've done so much damage to the rest of us. We need to monitor that too, because you know what? What's the point of having a healthy up here if all this is destroyed? They go together. If I don't eat right, this ain't right. They go together. Hangry. We all know that.
Oh yeah,
my sponsors have told me.
Yeah.
Rich, did you eat? My wife will. Rich, did you eat today? No. Well, then shut up. Hang up the phone. Go eat. Go eat. Wait a little bit. Call me back. If we're still mad about the same things, then we know where we have to go. All right. You have to start today on your health. My whole life is within 24 hours. That's all I ask for. That's all I want. It's 24 hours. When I wake up, I thank my higher power, which is God, but to each their own. But I thank my higher power and I say, thank you so much for the previous 24 hours. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, but can you just help me out? I need this 24 hours today. And that's literally it. Just you have to keep it in the moment and you have to keep yourself in check. And health is extremely important because, again, I didn't know I had diabetes. That was 10 years left untreated.
Of all the things that you brought up, I mean, there were a lot of things that really kind of took me back, but the fact that you went that long with it and not knowing it, it's nothing short of amazing to me that you are where you are for so many reasons. I mean, there are so many reasons that it could have been that you're not sitting here with me right now. It's amazing that you've gotten yourself to a point where we're sitting here today talking about this and you can speak to it with a clear mind.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle. I never would have thought I'd be doing this with you right now. I never would have thought that I would have gotten myself to the point, because again, I'm not that guy. But I was. In every aspect, the entire time, I was that guy. I was that guy. I had the shakes. I couldn't breathe. I was going through withdrawals. I knew eventually if I didn't get the help, I would die. I don't want to die. But I don't want to die. You have to, again, like I said, check your health and check yourself. Fix here. Love here. And when you do that, things come to you. And then you develop into a better person. I'm not perfect. No way in hell am I perfect. I still have my flaws. But without the alcohol, I'm just focused more on myself and being a better person and trying to be hard. And again, this is the way that I gave it to you. And I gave it to you as real as I could in the parameters of keeping myself safe and keeping some of the things. I mean, of course, there's some parts that I left out, some names, some events that I left out, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't want you to feel like restricted because I wanted you to be, I always tell people like, just give me you, but I know that, I hope you didn't feel restricted.
No, because honestly, it was perfect the way that I put it out. I feel like I said it the way it needed to be said for the audience that needs to hear it. Because like that's also the thing, and what I've learned with the path that I've been around. Like people go to AA meetings for the love and the positivity. People go to NA because they need to be reminded how dark addiction is. AA, I'd rather be a little more lifted, a little more positive, but they go to NA to be reminded that they have a real serious addiction and that you gotta remember where you were at. You don't want to go back there.
I don't like to feed the idea of health to people. At least not, I feel more comfortable saying it now because you gave what to me was your idea of health. But I do want to point out, just thinking about and as you were telling your story, the connections to each of the 8 dimensions of health, whether people are familiar with them or not, but it's physical, mental, social, occupational, intellectual, financial, spiritual, and environmental. And to me, hearing your story and making those connections within the context of health, your physical health obviously was affected. Your mental health was affected. Your social life was severely, I mean, our friendship, many friendships of yours, your family, your loved ones, heavy impact on your social life, your job, occupational health,
Yeah,
financial health.
100%.
Like you are hitting
Mhm.
all of these
Yeah.
dimensions, and it's just, I think another thing to just realize is that like one aspect of your life, whatever it is, these things don't necessarily exist in isolation. There's overlap, and they can trickle into every part of your life. So if you said, what good is it to have it up here? You do need to have it up here, but each of those aspects of your life was affected. I mean, you mentioned, you said your higher power, something spiritual to you about it. Like every level of health, in the way that at least it's presented on What Is My Health, you spoke to, without saying the term social health, without saying, like, you spoke to it, hit everything. And thinking about how one thing that we do in our lives can have such a widespread impact on our well-being is just, this illustrates it in a way. Obviously it's very real, it's very raw, and a lot of it is hard to share for people, but it provides a very broad illustration of just how many things can be impacted by the decisions that we make and the things that we do.
My financial debt was, I'd say, $40,000
Wow.
for me to have fun, for me to cure my depression, for me to be happy, be more myself. $40,000, 40, maybe even 50. Till when I got sober, yeah, probably $50,000. I have an app, like a sober app, and as of now, I've saved $37,000. And I'll be honest, that's basically true. I mean, it's when they and the way that they say that, it's not like I have $37,000 in the bank. It's just in the 2.5 years, I would have spent
In money that you didn't spend. Okay.
Yeah, money I would have. And when I wrote it, it was kind of like because I excluded bars. I only did what I would do to survive a day.
Okay.
That's how much I've saved.
Wow. So it's probably, if you excluded bars, that means it's probably more.
Oh yeah, no, because bars I would spend, even though I was friends with the owners, a real bar tab of mine every night would have been close to probably $150. How much did I spend? Close to probably 90 or 80.
Okay.
But the amount was like, it was a lot. It was a lot, and it adds up, and it's crazy again that to know that I didn't destroy myself as much as I thought.
Yeah.
When they told me everything was gonna be okay, like, because they said, like, when detox, they were like, oh, like, you need this, please stay around. And then after 6 months, they said, like your liver's good. I'm like, really? Are you sure?
Wow.
Like, I don't need a replacement. Like, how I didn't, like, I was drinking literally gasoline in my head. That's what I called it. COVID wasn't easy with all these homemade hand sanitizers smelling like house tequila. It's not fun, because you go like this. I mean, I could be around alcohol. I could go around it. I can go to a bar. I mean, selectively. If it's my choice, if I know exactly what's going to go down, I can do that.
And I remember when we spoke about this before, you said, like, that is not something you would recommend.
No, I don't. I don't recommend it. But I live a certain way, but sobriety is still held in front. I would not suggest doing those things because you can get hurt.
Yeah.
You can get hurt. But I have to keep myself in check. I still have to keep myself in check. I have to constantly remind myself, wherever I go, they say, always make sure you have an exit strategy. And I do. Regardless I'm going, I'm just like, nope. And that is an exit strategy. You literally straight up just leave. And it's no insult to anybody. It's just, I went to a friend's wedding and it was with everybody that I used to drink with. And I'm like, yeah, it was fun for a little bit. But now's the part that I've never witnessed, because I would always be blacked out by this point. So I don't know these people like this.
Okay.
You know what? I don't know what they're going to do.
Right.
You know what? And I ended up making a very good decision, because had I been drunk there, I probably would have passed out and already been shipped off back home. And, I'm happy. I'm just, in the end all, I'm a lot happier. And I never thought I could live a life without alcohol, because it was so much a part of my life that it was literally attached to me. I needed it.
Before we finish up, I wanted to let you know too, like, it's really good to see you like this now. And again, I know especially in your situation, we talked about this too, is that we don't count days that we don't have yet.
No,
You
like
know,
I said, man, I live in the 24. I don't know what's gonna go tomorrow. In part of the prayer, in part of like the mental part in the beginning, I don't really say it much now, but it's like, yeah, I'll drink tomorrow.
mhm.
I don't say that anymore to myself because I'm past that. Because in the very beginning, you're very desperate and you're still kind of looking for a way out. So it's like some people say, all right, well, listen, yeah, I could do drugs tomorrow. I could drink tomorrow, but I'm not. I
Right.
just want to. I could do that tomorrow, but I'm asking God. I'm asking my higher power now. Keep me sober now. Thank you for yesterday. Keep me sober now. But I don't say I could drink tomorrow anymore. It's just faded out of my little prayer. But I just kind of, it's just whatever. Tomorrow's tomorrow. But today is today. And it's just, you live like that. And naturally, I mean, it's good for everybody to live like that. Just plan ahead. I mean, yes, obviously, people get into the whole meal prepping thing and all that stuff. Yes, it's
Oh
good to
yeah.
have. It's good to have an idea, but be willing to understand that things can change. So kind of keep it a little bit so you don't get upset about yourself because you don't want
Yeah.
to lead yourself to failure. You want to lead yourself to success. Keep yourself within the day because if you set yourself up, that was like me when I was drinking. Even though I never had a problem with cocaine, it was like I never told myself I would never do it again because it was like, well, if it's free, well, if it's there, well, if my best friend says he wants to do it, then I would do it. Then I'd be like, okay, why? Just
Yeah.
keep yourself. I mean, me with addiction, it's like, yes, like I can't. It's not that I'm never going to drink again. I can't.
Mhm.
I can't. For the financial reasons, I can't. For my family's reasons, for my health, for everything, for my life, I can't. Not that I'm never. I just can't.
Right.
But you just want to live with small things with anything. You just want to live within the moment. Just say, listen, I just can't. I can't today. I can't today. But what I can do is the right thing. So let me do the right thing today. Can't do the bad stuff. I don't know about tomorrow. Today I choose to do the right thing.
I know it's easy to assign like good and bad to things, and I've been trying to catch myself, but it's easy to fall into like this is good, this is bad. But in this context, saying this was bad for you, this is good for you, like you're choosing to do the things that are going to have the positive effect on you.
There are some people out there because they need to be, or they get completely programmed that way where it's like, well, chill, like relax. You have to live that way. Don't push that
Right.
on everybody else because not everybody else is at that.
Yeah.
I only get at people who I know, who I could sense, or who come to me with an issue.
Mm-hmm.
If me and you went out and there was a bottle, I'd be like, yo, Mike, I'd pour you a shot. And I'd be like, here you go, bro. You can do it. I can't. I love you. Have fun.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm capable of doing. If you're around me and you want to have a drink, power to you, because you can.
I mean, I think out of respect to you, I don't think that I would want to put you in that
A
position
lot of a
either.
lot of people do that. A lot of people feel that way, and I 100% respect that. And I am blessed to have people that are like that around me. And but that's the thing. You can be. Don't instantly assume that. It's a good assumption. It is a good
Yeah.
assumption to have, but you don't. It's a nice conversation to have with somebody who's
Well,
sober.
let me put it this way. It's not even that I'm making the assumption that okay, if I have a beer next to Rich, this is going to trigger him. But I know, like the smell of something that like I know that
Yes, no, that
feeling.
yes,
I know how it feels to be around something that internally I'm like something's. I feel it to my core, and so knowing how that feels, knowing how hard it is to resist, I know how strong that feeling can be, and I know how hard it is for me to overcome that. So I don't want to put you in a position where, okay, I'm gonna do this because I want to drink, but Rich is gonna smell it, and he's gonna. I don't want to set you off into like that having to to go through that process because I know that is not easy.
no, yeah, it's not. It's more like I've like cleaned up and I've gotten like alcohol in my hand. That's when I kind of bug out. Like I have to go instantly to like the thing to wash my hands because it's like as a kid I bite my nails. All of a sudden if something lands on me, I'm like I'm a weirdo. I'm like
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on and being so open about this.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for giving me an outlet to speak, to share, and a chance to make an amends with you in front of however many people listen to this. I think that's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
interesting. I actually, when one of my meetings with another friend, he actually made amends to me. So I thought that was pretty cool that now I get to return that now during a moment of seriousness. We get to then share that moments with not just each other, but with, the podcast world. So addiction is a social disease. So it's not just me that's affected. If you really listened to this conversation that I had, clearly my problem was not just my problem. It affected Mike, and it affected other people as well. So know that it's not just me, it's other people that got hurt too, and your voice needs to be heard as well. So if you yourself have a problem with addiction, you're more than welcome to reach out. I'd be more than happy to help you out, but I definitely do suggest, if you do have a problem, the rooms are there, the hotline is there, someone is always ready to listen to you. You can type in AA meetings local in your area, NA meetings local in your area. The very first Google search will show the hotline number. You can also easily go right into your local police station as well. Just don't be under the influence. But if you yourself are a family member, the same things reach out to you. Al-Anon is a group that meets of family members of people who are addicts. Your voice needs to be heard too. There are outreach groups, and they're there. And with the knowledge that we now have and the access that we have, all it takes is just asking questions. So please use them.
Thank you for sharing that, because again, I'm sure there are many people who don't know where to go, and even if that's the first.
When all else fails, don't call 911. But if you go to a police station and just say, I need help, 100% they'll have a poster.
Okay, that's good to know for whoever needs it. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, man.
I'm glad we got to do this. I'm glad we got to reconnect in this way.
Yeah, man.
I don't know that we've actually sat down and had this serious of a conversation ever. Like, I mean, not that we can't be serious with each other, but like this is probably the longest we've gone without cracking all these kinds of jokes and getting like crazy silly. Yeah, but I'm glad that after 24 years, there's still levels of our friendship that we're exploring and able to access that we, that's cool to me.
God bless, man. It's a beautiful thing. And, I got sober for me, but in the end, I also, it's you guys that keep me sober. So.
Appreciate that.
I got to go to the gym to figure out exactly what's going on over there now. And it's crazy. Like, I don't believe that I'm the general manager. Like, literally, like in sobriety, I now feel that I've finally progressed from 21. Like now I'm like 23 and a half.
One thing I learned for myself that I found to be useful was like, I remember late 20s when like people were starting to get married, people were in serious relationships. And at that point I had gone through a couple breakups and I was at the point where I was like, everybody else is getting married. And I just went through this breakup. Time is running out. And then I realized I was like, we have a socially accepted norm where it's by the time you're this, you have to be with a partner. By the time you're this, you have to have a family, this and that, the job, everything like that. And we set so many things on a timeline, but you also can't force it. If it's not the right time for something to happen for you. And I'm not a person who's like, oh, the universe is going to like, but I do think that there's something to like, it's amazing how things come together the way they do to track things back to points in my life that were the lower points in my life and see like, well, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have done this. And if I didn't do this, then I wouldn't be here. And now I'm here. So I can't say that I regret, yes, like you said before, are there things that I would have done differently? Sure. Yeah, there are definitely learning curves and uncomfortable moments, but I think to put yourself on a timeline with, relationships with people, if you force something that you're not ready for, I don't want to say that, it's absolutely not going to, because I don't know that. But my takeaway on that is like, don't judge yourself for what you think is the fact that your job right now is designed for somebody who's a lot younger than you are. Take it more as you are where you need to be right now, especially hearing your story. And that's just my perspective and my interpretation of the whole situation. But if I can offer that to you, just you're where you're supposed to be. You have the life you want. You have your wife. You have a family that, you're getting to where you need to be. It took you however long it took you to get there. And other people might have reached this point 10 years ago, but that's not your life and that's not going to be theirs. And it doesn't have to be anybody else's.
Yeah. And then like literally when it comes down to, when you want to try to get somebody sober, it has to happen.
I think
my mom was trying to get me sober for years.
I think that was part of why in the back of my head, I was like, I know you don't like being told what to do. So in my head, I was like, I could tell him like, hey, man, I think, from my perspective, you need to do something about this. But I also was like, I didn't know if you were ready.
Absolutely was not ready to hear any of that. And like I said, I'm happy that you and everyone did what they did because you kept yourself out of it. And now looking back at it, it was a smart thing to do.
But I do, for whatever it's worth, I'm sorry if there was something that I could have done sooner and didn't. But I also understand that, it had to happen for you in your own way, in your own time. Exactly. And I'm really glad we're sitting here right now and you're at the point you are in your life, because it's good to see, your friends doing well. And I was always worried about you. I wanted to help. I'm glad that you're in the position you're in right now.
Well, if you just move over slightly to your right or the left, you'll remind people that there's an outlet.
Oh, I've been trying to block this thing. I've been trying to block.
You like that?
3 hours.
There's a way out, guys. Don't worry. There's an outlet.
Not by design. I literally turned half the room around to record this in I gotta get the light.
I saw your neck move and I was like, is that an outlet? And I was like, oh,
time, I
gotta joke.
I had this lamp plugged in. I brought in an extension cord to a different plug in front of me. I have a lamp on my desk in front of me. I have this lamp. I have the lights on it here. It's very not as warm as I thought it was going to be, because last night I was setting this up and I was sweating. I'm like, okay, well, I can't plug this lamp in here because they're going to see this wire hanging from over my shoulder. This is the first visual podcast I'm doing. I can't have wires hanging about. I've literally been for 3 hours trying to hide that outlet behind. And now you're calling me on it.
But for real though, naturally it's what it is. What it is. Listen, there is an outlet, guys. This is an outlet. There is an outlet. But honestly, there are ways for people that you can reach out and you can get the help you want, and you can, continue your life. It is there, even if they're hidden behind your neck.
See, this is what I thought. I thought we were gonna have 2 hours of this, and then I was gonna be carving out okay, we gotta stop joking around. But
no, we're good. No, we're good. I saved it to the end.
All right.
Go be with your family, man. I love you, dude.
Me too, man. All right. Later. For those who want to find me on social media, it's MikeOCD_WIMH on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook.com/Whatismyhealth. You can find our content at Whatismyhealth.com, at Whatismyhealth on Instagram and Twitter. And you can listen to the Health on a Whim podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many other platforms where you get your podcasts. And now expanding to YouTube as well. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and rate us. We really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you or someone you know is struggling with substance abuse and addiction, help is available. Visit www.help.org/drug-abuse-hotline for a complete list of resources.